I must get in. I'm one of the judges. Oh.
All this happened only a few years ago. Although some of you may find my story more appropriate to the Middle Ages, a time when all that we now regard as superstition or myth was believed to be true by almost everybody, certainly in my country. That I can personally vouch for the absolute truth of what I'm about to relate, you will appreciate only when I have come to the end of my story. A story so horrendous, and to me personally so grievous, that I can honestly say that my whole life has been colored. Some might even say destroyed by it. My story's heroine, if that appellation can be used in so infamous a context, one Countess Ilona Tirch lived, indeed still lives, at Castle Tirch, built long ago by robber barons in that wild eastern province of my country that travelers nowadays so wisely avoid. Ilona had not always been a countess. Indeed, she was born poor, a glove maker's illegitimate daughter, in a grimy suburb of Budapest. But she grew up to be beautiful and, one is told, talented. She established herself, while still young, as a popular cafe entertainer. Until she found success, life had not been easy for Ilona. Competition was strong, the risks of failure great, and many men took selfish advantage of her ambition until, in circumstances over which it would be prudent to draw a veil of decorous silence, she met the dreadful Count Tirch. Nobleman, yes, wealthy too, but a man about whom wild and terrible things were whispered, and into whose care were only a fraction of the rumors concerning him true, one would hesitate to entrust the fate of one's worst enemy. This, then, was the man who became Ilona's husband. Ilona chose September the 13th, 1880, to invite 4 men to her house. But it was not to hunt or to a ball to which she asked them. It was to a party of a very private nature. The 4 men invited to the castle all belonged to the higher reaches of Habsburg society, but they had something else in common. All 4 had once been Countess Ilona's lovers, and it is possible to conjecture that they had all contributed to her eventual fate. The Countess's party, did I explain, marked the 10th anniversary of a very special year. The year of her marriage to the sinister Count Tirch. The year also in which she became his widow. The year finally during which she gave birth to her only child, the angelic Bela. The young Count Tirch.
What, still in the room? I've travelled all night, girl. Hellish discomfort. I'm as hungry as a wolf. Hey, gods, what a mausoleum. Poor Ilona. What? What? Well, speak up, girl.
There's a buffet for the gentlemen.
There's a buffet for the gentlemen. How nice and welcoming that sounds. Splendid. Oh, the air up here. It's real country air. It's better than that vile stuff we breathe in the cities. Oh, come, girl. Huh? Show me the buffet for the gentlemen.
In 1848, Zoltan Vincenz, Ilona's first guest to arrive, had spent 12 months in one of the most notorious jails in Prussia as punishment for his activities as a revolutionary. But in the ensuing 30 years, Zoltan had learned to accommodate himself to the first law of politics. Whatever else might have occurred after a revolution, however many people died, painful deaths, finally there would always be those who wielded power. Those who were oppressed, and those who remained somewhere in the middle. A logical man, Zoltan elected to stay among the leaders, whatever else might change, and so became an immensely rich arms dealer and Bismarck's confidential agent. The reformed revolutionary now had his villa in southern Spain, his mansion in Brandenburg, and his palazzo on the Grand Canal, each of them cluttered with masterpieces he never looked at, musicians in waiting to whom he never listened, and so it was rumored, resident mistresses whose existence he forgot almost as soon as they were installed. The Countess's second guest, Dr. Felix Krauss, a charming idler, had once been a distinguished specialist in nervous diseases. But when a maiden aunt died, leaving him her entire fortune, the good doctor found that he could retire and devote himself exclusively to his hobby, the seduction of every personable young woman he met. A superstitious and punctilious man, Felix believed that his potency would last only for so long as he kept intact the index of his conquests, complete with one lock of hair, one love letter, and one garter.
Felix!
Zoltan! My dear friend, I had no idea.
I had you still wear that scent.
You like it. I'll send you a bottle for your next birthday.
No, my 60th.
Astounding. Whoever would have thought?
I would.
Well, what made you come?
What?
You consulted the guest list, I suppose.
No guest list was vouchsafed.
Oh, well. Ilona always was secretive.
Except where her strange admiration for you was concerned. I mean, for you, there was always room in her...
Art?
Yes.
Yes.
I knew I'd find you here. Do you know, between ourselves, Felix, I think we must have been quite mad to come here.
Mad, really? Curious, perhaps.
What, about Ilona's real intentions, you mean?
Intention.
Do you know, this caviar really is excellent. No, I mean her strange impulse to invite, well, you and me, for instance. Tell me, what were her last words to you before, well, before that unfortunate marriage?
Farewell, I suppose. Thank you for the flowers.
Thank you for the flowers! Well, to me, she said, she said, hell is too good for you, my dear Zoltan, and that marked you after I'd brought her the Esterhazy Ruby.
Has our hostess made her appearance yet?
It's too early. We're alone, huh?
But how touching that she even now should show such evident concern for our bodily needs. My dear Fräulein, could I possibly be shown to my room now? And, business.
flourishes.
Ah, the killing business.
Bread and murder, man's only two indispensable commodities. Young man, if you haven't the talent to be a miller or a baker, become a soldier or a hangman or an arms merchant. That's my advice to you. God will always reward you for keeping down the numbers of his greatest failure. I wonder, is there just a little more caviar?
Your book. You must read.
Why? It makes me dream.
You must read.
I hate it. I hate all books.
Very fine furniture. 13th century Macedonian craftsmanship is so inimitable, don't you think? Tell me your name.
Magda, sir.
Do you know why we've been invited here?
I have not asked, sir.
It doesn't matter. There's no such thing as 13th century Macedonian craftsmanship either. I merely wish to hear your voice. Very pleasant it is, too. Sensual, without being vulgar. Now, I tend not to be the most vigorous of men early in the day. Will you visit me in the afternoon, say after luncheon at 3:15?
Sir?
I believe in making my intentions clear. It saves time and avoids equivocation. You see, my dear, I am an erotomane.
Sir?
Forgive me, I was once a doctor. I suppose you have some sort of squalid arrangement with that strapping fellow below.
Andrush? No, sir.
How odd. Either you lie, or he must be the most unobservant, or indeed incapable of men.
He is ambitious.
Look, Andresh. It is the dream.
Only a dream?
The hunter could not kill him.
Nope. He could not kill him.
He became grandmother. Why?
He merely pretended. What do you pretend, Bela?
Why does the story not say what you say? About...
A silver bullet. That's our secret.
I don't want to dream it.
Go!
He's old enough. What do you know, his nurse? Hmm? You understand nothing.
The third of the Countess's guests, the renowned virtuoso Hugo Hoffmann, considered himself to be severely inconvenienced. He had underestimated the walking distance from the railway station to the castle. In consequence, he felt fatigued. Worse, some mud had splattered his beige trousers, which had been made for him only a week before, not by the oldest, but certainly the most expensive tailor in Budapest.
Have my bath prepared. At a temperature of 37 degrees precisely. I require white roses in my room. Someone must unpack my cases. One of my suits must be pressed in time for dinner.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. The last door on the right, sir. Thank you, sir.
When will you be alone again?
Soon. Soon.
It is satisfactory. 3 have arrived.
It is night. He will not come now. The other one.
He may come tomorrow.
It is not the same. There have to be 4.
Indeed, Countess, there should be 4.
We need only 1. Tonight.
Only 1.
Countess, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You drew blood. Did you hear? Yes, you heard. Are you afraid? Why?
I have heard it said that there was once a man who you cannot forgive.
Cannot or will not?
I don't know, Countess.
When you go to bed tonight, lock your doors and windows. Whatever you see, you have seen nothing. Whatever you hear, it is the wind howling in the trees. Have you never been betrayed?
Yes, Countess.
And now, see that Bela, that the child is...
Countess.
sleeping.
The question remains, why have we been invited?
Oh, I might choose to ask, why have we been invited?
Well, let us ask ourselves this. What have the 3 of us in common? Nothing could possibly unite us, but the fact that in the past we were all friends of the Countess.
Lovers.
She loved me. Yes.
She was expensive, we could afford her.
But there were a great many others, huh?
Yes, a great
Why?
many.
I asked again, only the 3 of us.
4, it appears.
The fattest purses.
Certainly not. Ilona always showed the most exquisite taste. In spite of the... despite, that is, her...
Unfortunate background. Did I ever tell you? We lived, Ilona and I, as children, in the same filthy slum. Practically next door to each other, and yet, we never met. She was always out. I was older, of course, but by the time I was 16, I'd had every girl in the street.
You don't say. Every...
Never paid. Sometimes they paid me. Now, on reflection, it isn't so much the choice of Ilona's guests that intrigues me, no. No, it's more the, occasion.
Well, obviously. The 10th anniversary of her wedding.
Of her widowhood?
Well, the latter would certainly be a more appropriate occasion for a celebration. To marry such a man, such a...
Beast, quite.
Ilona, the most exquisite creature in all Budapest.
The most expensive, certainly.
Why do you say so little, Herr Hoffmann? What is your opinion?
My opinion? That can only be served well chilled. Kindly bring me some Wielberger, Spätauslese 67, at the correct temperature. I believe that Ilona she must have killed him.
What? I killed her husband? Killed Count Tira? Ilona? I mean, she couldn't kill a rabbit.
Yeah, well, the Count, as has been pointed out, was hardly a rabbit.
Hardly. And there she is. My dear, beautiful Ilona. Just as one always remembers.
But 10 years older, it shows. Does it matter?
My dear.
Hugo.
My dearest.
Shall we sit down? Servieren Sie jetzt das Nachtmahl. Well, my dear friends, I must apologize for the absence of our fourth guest.
Yes, well, may one ask who?
Zoltan, there were other friends.
Does it matter?
The leader of His Imperial Majesty's unofficial opposition likes to travel in his own coach. What can one do?
Von Heller. You...
What a dreadful boy. How the devil could you stand him?
You and Von Heller. Well, the heavy rains must have delayed him.
He should have come by train.
Like the rest of us,
Yes,
quite.
well, politicians are always prattling on about the evils of privilege.
Whilst legislating to retain as much as possible for themselves.
Oh, you a cynic.
Well, you all look most content, successful, fulfilled.
Well, what is there left to drink to?
Whatever we hold most dear, my dear Zoltan.
Well, apart from you, Ilona, love, surely, Herr Hoffmann.
Art. Nothing else matters, ultimately.
Zoltan.
Money. Well, because both love and art can be bought, and people are always for sale, so it has to be to you alone.
Whom we have adored for so long. The great experience of our lives, of my life, certainly.
To Ilona.
Ilona.
Thank you.
And now, my dearest Ilona, do put us out of our misery. Why on earth have you invited us?
Why? Because I love you.
Tell you, he had great human qualities. My goodness. I mean, we talk about him as if he were already dead. He's very much alive, I assure you. In any case, I ask you, what has your liberalism, your democracy ever achieved? Particularly for the very people who are supposed to benefit from such sloppy and sentimental notions. Rien. Raised the rabbles' expectations beyond all measure, that's all. Undermined a nation's moral fiber. The harm done by your groveling respect for those dreadful common people. I mean, Versailles would never have been built in a gibbering democracy, nor for that matter with the Taj Mahal. I mean, liberalism hasn't helped to open up one single backward continent. And I'm afraid in the long run only tyrants further the cause of mankind. Sad but true.
At the cost of a great deal of bloodletting, mon cher.
The bloodletting of grey, anonymous masses who can have no other purpose in the grand design. And who will happily cheer for whoever shouts loudest and happily die for whoever pays the most.
Hardly a Christian view of man's history, if one may say so.
Oh, my dear young man, history's Christians Christians. The only Christians in history remotely worth remembering are those popes who commissioned a few masterpieces in the brief intervals between committing acts of murder and plunder.
And incest.
This must be very boring for our hostess.
Not at all. I am fascinated as ever, Zoltan.
But it's very boring for me.
Ah.
May one ask a very personal question?
Of course, my dear. I have always enjoyed instructing you.
You see, I never had the pleasure of I never met your late husband. I now wish to know, was he really as appalling as his reputation?
Worse. Much worse.
And yet you married him. A saint.
But every man must have some redeeming quality, surely.
Every man, yes.
Then we are here, have been invited here to celebrate. It must be so. His death.
He thinks you killed him, you know.
You are mistaken, Hugo.
Well, then, if it isn't an indelicate question, how?
Oh, please, at dinner. I really must insist.
Orders in all the papers, my dear, surely. A hunting accident. He was attacked by wolves.
Wolves?
He suffered a great deal.
I'm sorry, did I hear you correctly? Did you say wolves?
Mama?
Ah.
Good heavens, look. An angel.
Not a moment too soon, it would seem.
Come down, young fellow.
What a sweet child.
Good enough to eat, Zoltan?
This is my son, Bela, Count Tyr. These are old friends of your mamma's, my love.
Here, young fella. For your money box. Catch.
Really?
Give him some candied fruit, Felix. He loves it.
A peach, a pear, an apricot. Such a strong boy, he'll grow into a fine man.
Thank you, sir.
And now, back to your room. Your little bed, my love.
Good night, Mama. Gentlemen.
Bela. Bela. I will never let it touch you. Never.
He really is a marvelous boy, though. Such a face, pure Botticelli.
Yes, and yet Count Tyr himself was quite the most hideous man I've ever met. It's curious.
Oh, really?
After your long journey, my friends, you will all want an early night.
What Herr Vincent means is...
What he means is that the boy you have just seen could not possibly have been fathered by a man as evil, as hideous as Anton Count Tyr.
No, my dear girl, that's not exactly
Herr
what I
Hoffmann's
meant.
glass is empty, Andrash.
The veal burger I drank earlier.
But then has it not really occurred to you that Bela may not be, well, not necessarily be, the Count's son? He could be. I do not say that he is, I say that he could be. He could be your son, Hugo. Or yours, Felix. Or even yours, Zoltan. Oh, yes, he could be. You are remembering Budapest, all those parties that summer. That long, hot, oppressive summer 10 years ago. We all behaved so badly.
Well, if all one has heard about your late husband is true, my dear Ilona, one must indeed hope devoutly that the Count did not sire a son.
Your wine, Hugo. And now, it is really time for me to wish you all a restful first night under my roof.
What did you mean exactly?
Mean?
Just now, about Count Tyr, your devout hope.
Oh, come now. We all know the man was violent. No, vicious. You know, he brutalized the servants, that sort of thing.
But this fatal accident... This is not the wine I ordered. Sickening incompetence. I knew it. I should never have come here. I cannot begin to understand the latter's intentions.
Oh, well, wait just a minute. What precisely did you mean?
Are you telling me you didn't know that neither...
He certainly didn't, did he?
Know what?
Well, the way I heard the story, the Count did not die immediately after the accident. Indeed. It appears he died a few months later, in agony, of a very rare disease known as lycanthropy.
Like? What the devil's that?
Clinically speaking, the affliction of a man deluded into imagining that he's a wolf. Or rather, a werewolf.
But there is no such thing as a werewolf.
Precisely.
King John, the one Shakespeare wrote about. He was a werewolf.
Said to have been one.
And what do they look? What are they said to look like?
Enormous and very hairy, with luminous eyes and hands like claws, long sharp nails. Their hunger for flesh, human flesh, is insatiable.
Said to be insatiable.
But their appetites only get the better of them at night, it seems.
When the moon is full.
What utter nonsense. I refuse to listen to such... I mean, it is...
A dolly, it usually changes back into human form.
Or a dog or a witch.
It is...
It's said.
I must say I'm astonished that a doctor endorsing such idiotic superstitions.
My dear Hugo, it can't all be superstition. There is historical evidence. The case I'm thinking of is quite well known. Someone in Lyon in the 16th century, confessing, under torture, of course, to being a werewolf. Yes, and as a werewolf, he'd killed a child of 12, a girl, and eaten what remained of her.
Eaten? I can't believe it. Everybody knows, gentlemen, surely, that a werewolf is merely a fantasy. It's a metaphor.
Oh, a metaphor for what, pray?
For the disgusting cravings of some members of the human race. If you will excuse me, gentlemen.
Well, good night. And pleasant dreams. Could it be him? What do you think?
What?
The father.
The raison d'être.
Huh?
As he says, there is no such thing as a werewolf.
What?
There's no need to wait up. The fourth guest will not come now. Yes, lad.
Why are you angry with me?
Andrash? Andrash!
Did you expect...
I do not wish to hear one further word from you, my dear, until the crow of the cock.
I thought so. Indeed, I knew it. This whole mysterious party, this reunion in your late husband's castle, it was solely arranged by you so that you and I might meet once more. I am no longer of use to any woman or man. I no longer compose, except little nothings encores for my concerts. Nobody asks why. I no longer even play well. No one notices. Ilona, I need you. Just as I needed you. That time when I lived in a room without furniture, remember? You used to bring me stolen bread and grapes. your faith in me, your faith in me as a man, as an artist. Oh, when I needed a rest, mountain air, a new suit, you would sell your body over and over again that I might have these things. And when my genius was finally recognized, when I myself became a source of warmth for others, an object of desire, when I was courted by conductors and publishers and princes to whom, well, you understand, it would have been injudicious to introduce you. Then I had to make that fatal decision. Believe me, I suffered as much as you did. I am not inaccessible to remorse. Look, do you see those little lines all around my eyes? My youth, Ilona, my youth is going. It's going forever. But each little line is a silent witness to my profound contrition.
Father.
Sleep, sleep.
The dream, in the forest. So many of them, hiding, with glowing yellow eyes.
How?
Oh, we know the region's teeming with wild beasts, bears, wolves.
You mean werewolves?
Oh, there are no such things as werewolves.
Well, exactly!
There's your answer.
The reason for our house party?
Evidently.
What, revenge?
People will speak of another hunting accident.
Accident?
It seems poor Hugo has paid the penalty for all our sins.
Oh, you sentimental fool. She simply hated Hugo more than she hated you or me, that's all.
Or loved him more.
Well, the penalty, as you call it, seems to have been paid.
In full.
Well, we've survived, my friend.
A peach, a pear, an apricot, my love.
The wolf's eyes behind the tree. The smiling wolfen man.
Hush, my little one, hush. There is nothing to fear for you.
The purpose of the Countess's anniversary party had been accomplished. Hugo Hoffmann had paid the price for his betrayal Vanity? For being loved too much by Countess widow? That is, if widow is a correct appellation used for one whose husband was indeed one of the undead. But could anyone be absolutely certain that the murder of Hugo Hoffmann would remain the only atrocity perpetrated at Castle Türk during that weekend? That was to become notorious as the werewolf reunion?